It was the shortest EP I've ever recorded. I'm on the Guinness Book World of Records for shortest EP, so. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. If you haven't met yet, my name is Jake. I go by the artist name Jacob Roland, and recently I've been thinking a lot about the cocoon, how butterflies start out as caterpillars and they enter into a chrysalis or a cocoon, and then voila, they become a butterfly. And what's interesting is that for the caterpillar, the cocoon is an end. It's death, it's darkness, it's the end of caterpillar life, right? No more caterpillar friends, no more caterpillar breweries or anything like that. It's just, you're done. And then they enter into the cocoon and it's like something ends and something new begins. Something interesting about the cocoon, there's a story of this guy who was walking in the forest, and he's walking along and he sees a caterpillar, a butterfly rather, that's struggling to get out of its cocoon. It looks like it's stuck in its own cocoon, it's trapped. And he thinks, oh my gosh, this butterfly is gonna die if I don't help it. So he takes a little pocket knife and he cuts a little piece out of the cocoon in order to free the butterfly, and he does, but the butterfly immediately falls to the ground and dies. And later he learns that when a butterfly is emerging from its cocoon, the passageway is so narrow and so tight that it actually forces the butterfly, that it squeezes through, and all this blood goes to its muscles and to its wings. And if it weren't for that extremely tight, narrow passageway, it wouldn't actually get circulation into its wings and learn how to fly. And isn't that what so many of us have experienced in life recently with this pandemic? Narrow, tight passageways, moments that we feel like we're barely going to make it through. But yet it's that difficulty and that challenge and that change that actually invigorates us. It puts our lifeblood in our body so we actually get where we need to go. I've also been thinking a lot about how, I don't know if it's just me, but does anyone else feel like if they look back 3 to 5 years, you're like, I was such a loser 5 years ago? Is that just me? Okay. And I was going to use this analogy, but then I was thinking, like, what was I actually doing 5 years ago? I was 23 5 years ago. I didn't know anything. I think there's a Blink-182 song that says nobody likes you when you're 23, and that felt very true for me. But when I was 23, I started to realize that a lot of people were doing like really cool beards. Like the beard thing started, like 4 years ago, and I was like, I want to be a part of this movement of beards. But I didn't really understand it. I just saw that beards kind of like started short and they grew longer, and so I didn't really have like the proper equipment at the time, and so I just took my little trimmer and I thought, okay, it starts short, and then it's medium, and then it's long. And so I made a very basic, what I thought was like a 3-layer beard. And someone I was working for at the time, it was my boss, and they sat me down and they said, Jake, you can't have 3 beards. You're not allowed to work here and have 3 beards. Like you're gonna lose your job. So I had to shave my beard, and I've learned a lot, but I realized like, okay, maybe it's natural to look back 5 years ago and realize I was such a dork, because if I didn't look back 5 years ago and think I was such a dork, I'd still be that dork. You know what I'm saying? And so I realized like, it's okay to look back and realize like, whoa, there were some ideas that I had, some understandings that I had, some ways that I interacted with people that like didn't work, because that means you're changing. If you look back with a little bit of cringe, I think that's okay, because that means you're growing. I don't know if anyone else maybe relates to this. Anyone have like a really terrible year in grade school? Like just the year that just sucked so bad? Nobody? Oh my, okay, 3 people, what? You all just were like popular? This is not the right show to be at. You're at the wrong show. Oh my gosh, if this is the popular people, okay. For me, it was 8th grade. 8th grade was horrible. There you go. I'm not alone. In 8th grade, so in 7th grade, I ran for president, and I got in 2nd place, and I lost. And then in 8th grade, I carried that shame. And I was pretty socially isolated, I was pretty lonely, and it was a pretty dark time for me. At the time, it was kind of like the worst, darkest time that I had ever experienced. But right after 8th grade, I started getting really involved in church, doing a lot of music at church, and all of a sudden I went from someone who had no social identity, no social belonging, to I had found a sense of social belonging. I knew who I was supposed to be. I excelled. And I understood kind of like, okay, this is like a person I can be. I can be a part of this group, and I'm accepted, and I'm loved, and I'm, celebrated, and I'm, doing music, and it was like it all happened really fast, and it was really great. And the years went on, and, I went from being a teenager to my 20s, and over time I started to look back and realize, like, yes, it's been so amazing to have all this belonging, but at the same time, I've also been given a lot of baggage, a lot of boxes through which I understood the world, through which I understood reality. And also, it was very complicated because my career was kind of tied up in these boxes. I was, doing music for these large churches, and so in a way, I was the person building these boxes, and I was the person protecting these boxes, And it's interesting when I think about these boxes. I guess there's a story that comes to mind. There was this monastery. And there was a Buddhist monk, and he was sort of the head of this monastery. And every day he sat down to meditate. And one day, this kitten walks into the monastery. And being the gentle Zen person he is, he takes the kitten in, raises it as if it was his own cat, and it becomes sort of like the monastery cat. But the problem was that he would sit down to meditate, and the cat would always want to nuzzle up to him and give him the love, you know what I mean? We have pets, we know what that is, They kind of come and interrupt you. During COVID, you're trying to work, and they crawl over your face. And so this cat was doing this to the head monk, and so he says, look, I love this cat, but I need to meditate. And so he asked one of his kind of interns, or whatever, I don't know what a Buddhist monk intern is, but I'm just going to call it the intern. He asked the intern, hey, can you tie this cat to a tree while I meditate? And the intern's like, for sure. And so it started to become a pretty normal thing that if the monk was going to go meditate, they would tie the cat to the tree, and then he would meditate. Became kind of tradition. And over time, eventually, the monk died, and a new monk was appointed as head monk. And they still kept tying the cat to the tree before he would meditate. And then eventually the cat dies, and they get a new cat that they can tie to the tree, so that they can meditate. And this goes on for generations and generations, and you have, 100 years later, you have a monastery where they can't meditate without tying the cat to the tree. And I think that how many of our traditions, how many of our understandings, how many of the ways that we look at the world are kind of like that. They're things from a different generation that we've held on to. Even in our body, evolution has given us this thing called vestigial structures, which are basically, in our body, there are things that are carryovers from a different time. Like our appendix, we don't need it. One day you get sick and they take it out and then you're fine. You know what I mean? Like the appendix is actually sort of a carryover for a different time. Or your wisdom teeth. Like I haven't had my wisdom teeth taken out, and I know it's a ticking time bomb. Like it's coming. Every time I go to the dentist, they're like, okay, you know what I mean? And they're like, here's a list of people to go to, and I throw that list away. But I know one day I'm going to be in pain, and they're going to be like, you should have done it, But it's like these things, we go like, what are the purposes of these things? And there are these structures that are carryovers from a different time. Or even, I'm in therapy. It's a safe space. It's an honest space. I'm in therapy, and something I've learned in therapy over and over again is that there are things that we learn to do in our childhood in order to feel safe, in order to make sense of our understandings, in order to make sense of our environment. But then these things, we bring them with us into adulthood and they no longer serve us. You know what I mean? And we're still like getting mad every time, you know, someone tries to help us when we're cooking food or something. It's too personal. It's these boxes, you know, that we're just holding on to. And so for me, over time, I started to look at my boxes and go, okay, how do I let go of my boxes but still have a job, still eat? So it was a bit of a struggle that I was going through, and that's kind of what this music is about, really. It's me kind of figuring out how to talk about reality, how to talk about God in these new ways that are coming to me in these new open understandings, and yet also finding the spaces that I can do that in. You know, it's funny because as I was sort of deconstructing all these things that I had been taught and given, I began to fall more and more in love with the root of the very tradition that I had come from. That Jesus' words actually started to make more sense to me. I started to connect more with this tradition that I had come from. I started to see that within the very tradition, Jesus talks all the time about death and resurrection, about things falling away so new things can be born. He says, be like children. Come to these understandings with that humility that children have. And so I began to deconstruct my world around me, but come back to a deeper love for the thing that I came from. And I just wanted to write music about it. I just wanted to keep it simple, you know? Like, I don't know jack shit. I'm sorry, excuse me. I had to say it once. I was had to curse. I don't know anything. Like, none of us know a lot, okay? Like, this world is a very complicated world. Things are changing all the time. I think it's a pretty safe thing that we can do and come together and just say, we don't really know what's going on. But we do know a couple things. We know that love always works, right? We know that love is like the only way. Where is love not going to work? Where's the situation where it's like, yeah, don't choose love? You know what I mean? We know love works. We know that we need to trust these things that are outside of our control. We need to surrender a little bit. We need to understand that like change, this kind of like what I started with when I'm talking about, like change is okay. Change is like baked in to the thing. And Jesus even says, he has this parable where he basically says, unless a seed falls out of a tree, or unless a fruit, falls out of a tree and dies, and new seeds come forth and new plants come forth, unless that happens, that fruit is alone. It's meaningless. So unless something allows itself to die and something new to come from it, we've missed the whole point. And so all I'd really say to you tonight is that we've all had a hell of a couple of years. And for many of us, it's probably felt like a death. It's probably felt like an end. But I believe that it's also a new beginning. And if we just allow ourselves to see this time, to see these challenges, to see these unknowns, not only as an end, but also as a beginning, can we just let ourselves fall into that and trust something beyond ourselves? What would that look like? I'll leave you with this. There's this quote that has come to mean a lot to me. It's by this rabbi. He's called the Baal Shem Tov. And it says, if you must fall, fall. But the one you are becoming will catch you. If you must fall, let yourself fall. Because the one you are becoming will catch you. And I believe that's true for every one of us tonight. So as me and Carl play some songs, I just want to encourage you to think about that. What would that look like if you just let yourself fall a little bit? And what would it look like to know that something deeper and truer within yourself would be there to catch you? Thank you so much for coming. Really grateful that you're here. Thanks for listening to me ramble a little bit. Also just want to thank Visible again so much. Thank you guys working tonight, working so hard. Love you guys. Just a little background too. I moved here like 4 years ago, and this place used to be called the Spotted Cow, and it was pretty cool, and it was where all the Christian hipsters hung out. And back in my hometown, I was the only Christian hipster, and so I was like, there's a place where they gather? Like, what? Then, within the last couple of years, some of my friends who were like much younger than me took over this place and made it so legit. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, what was I doing when I was 22? I wasn't doing anything. These guys are so cool. And so I'm honored to be in their turf tonight. I feel like this is a temple. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for working late tonight. Really appreciate y'all. We're gonna play some songs, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit more too. So if you were like, oh, just play the music already, just accept it. It's gonna be a talking night. So. Thank you again, Lacey, for coming and playing tonight. It was amazing. Standing at the edge of a river, and I don't know where it ends or begins. Standing at the edge of a river, and I wanna dive in, but nobody knows just how deep it goes. Nobody knows how deep or wide. I'm standing at the edge of a river, and I wanna be in the flow. Standing at the edge of a river, and everything inside me tells me to let go. But nobody knows just how deep it goes. Nobody knows how deep or wide. But language fails to describe. So call it what you want, call it what you want. Words fall short, and it's alright. So call it what you want, call it what you want. Language failed to describe. Call it what you want, call it what you want. Yeah. Words fall short, and it's alright. So call it what you want, call it what you want. Oh, call it what you want. which fails to describe. Call it what you want, call it what you want. Words fall short, and it's alright. Call it what you want, call it what you want. Oh, you can call it God, you can call it love. Anything you want, yeah, as long as you dive in, as long as you become who you truly I've lived here in Washington for 4 years now. This is the very first time that I played a show of my own original material. So thank you so much for being here. It's a really good moment. I really appreciate it. Sometimes moments like this, there's so much expectation and build up and I get so excited that I actually miss the moment, you know? How often do we do that? How often do we look forward to things so much that we actually forget to be there when they get there? So this song is about learning how to take a step back, how to stop, how not to be in a hurry, how to be wherever we are. Hope it finds you somewhere like that tonight. Let them come. All the things I need to see, and the lives I need to lead, and then let go of. I won't run from the lessons to be learned, and the bridges to be burned for the sake of love. You can't hold the river. When my time has come, there will be no hurry. So now that I am young, there will be no hurry. And when the day is done, I'll be in no hurry. So I'll rise up with the sun, I'll be in no hurry. Let them go. The illusions of myself, they have been no help. Leave them all behind us. Let it flow like the waters of a stream. Oh, I've been walking through a dream. Now it's time to wake up. You can't hold the river. When my time has come, there will be no hurry. Now that I am young, there will be no hurry. Oh, when the day is done, I'll be in no hurry. So I'll rise up with the sun, I'll be in no hurry. And all that glitters, and all that glitters, and all that glitters ain't gold. 'Cause you can't hold, you can't hold the river. When my time has come, there will be no hurry. So now that I am young, I'll be in no hurry. Thank you. Anyone have like a show that they loved, like a cartoon they loved a lot when they were a kid? Again, a very small smattering of you. Cartoons have been around since since most of us were, I really love the show Dragon Ball Z. Remember that show? And I was, I don't know, you can clap for them, I guess. But I had this memory that I just remembered it like yesterday, and I realized there was this moment where me and my friend were watching Dragon Ball Z, and we loved it so much that we were like, I wish Dragon Ball Z was my life. Real life sucks. I want to be in Dragon Ball Z. And we put our hands up to the TV, and we thought we had like a plan, and we just went, oh! we thought we were gonna like force the TV into letting us into the world. You know what I mean? So we did that, and it didn't work because I'm here today. So clearly it didn't work. But I realized like sometimes we just like want to have a different life, and we just are like, why can't I have that different life? And I've started to realize over time, like, the process to getting where we want to be is this slow and fast process. It's really interesting. Like, I love this quote that we often overestimate what can happen in 1 year, and we underestimate what can happen in 5 years. And it's been a really interesting thing to think about, because when I think about this next song, it's really just this idea of like, okay, so you have somewhere you want to be. All you need to do is start with changing some of your thoughts, right? Because if you change your thoughts, if you change your mindset, some of your words are going to change. Some of the things you speak to other people, some of the things you speak about yourself are going to change. Then if the things you speak out change, you're going to be accountable to start acting a little different, right? People are going to be like, hey, you said you wanted to do this. Aren't you going to do it? So then you're a little more accountable to start acting and putting things into proactivity, putting things into action. And then sooner or later, these actions over long periods of time create change. They really create real lasting change. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And so it's crazy because sometimes a thought can lead to 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, a complete life change. So don't discount the power of just thinking differently about your situation. That's what this next song is about. There was a time in my life where I was like, how do I talk about God and reality in the ways that I want to talk about it, And it took a long time, but I'm here, and I'm so honored to be able to be transparent on this stage in front of so many of you, including many of you from this community that I'm a part of, and it's just such a crazy blessing. So anyway, this song is about that. Where I can dip my toes. I wanna run with the buffalo. I wanna read from the love I've sown. I wanna see this world and call it home. Put on my manifestation. I put on my manifestations. Letting go is a part of creation. When I put on my manifestation. Toward the light, It's been quite a strange couple of years, huh? We've all been to like enough shows by now where people have like said that line a couple times, so we're all like used to people saying that. So I'm sorry. It's my first show, so it's my first time getting to say that. So if you can, give me the reaction that you gave the first time you heard it. I don't know if it's like what is the reaction to that? I don't know. It's like, yeah. For me, a lifeline was just kind of turning back to those most simple, basic spiritual practices just to keep me going. Sometimes it's just focusing on the breath, trying to meditate, not being a good meditator. I just want to be clear, like when I say I meditate, it means I'm like a terrible meditator. I just try to do it, you know? But what's interesting is, you know, I think a lot of times people look at like people who maybe do work in spirituality, or that's kind of an interest or a focus for me, like that's kind of been my work, my passion. And I realized like I'm not in spirituality, that's not my game because I'm like some super zen with it person. It's because I'm not. It's because I'm anxious and neurotic and like cannot hold it together. That's why I love this stuff, is because it's like, it helps me. It's like medicine for me, you know what I mean? I'm not like, I don't have it together and that's why I'm up here. I don't have it together and that's why I'm up here. I'm up here because like, I'm messed up, like we all are, right? But sometimes we just need to take a breath. We just need to come back to those most simplest awarenesses of like, we're here, we're in our bodies, we're alive. And maybe that can lead us to this understanding that we're where we're supposed to be, that things have happened the way they're supposed to happen because that's how they happen. So maybe if you're struggling with some stuff that's going on in your life right now, and you're going like, why is this happening the way it's happening? Maybe during this song you can just relax a little bit, feel your body, feel your breath, feel your body supporting you the way it's supported you these last 2 years because you're still here. So, the song's called Breathe. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit from the seeds you sow. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit from your flowers bloom. Do 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 do. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit from your flowers bloom. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit in the darkness grow. Breathe, step back from your mind, 'cause everything is on time. You are where you're supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit from your flowers bloom. Take it slow, watch it all unfold. Taste of the fruit from your flowers bloom. Do 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 do. You do 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 do. There are choices to be grateful for the cycle you're supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be. Something I realized, like, sometimes I'll write a song and I'll like write something and I think, oh, this sounds good, this is cool, this could work as a song, and then later I'm like, oh, this is like me telling the truth about stuff, and I didn't realize like what I was saying when I put the pen to the page. And for this song, I think that truth was this reality that like I grew up with a lot of shame and a lot of fear. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. There's all kinds of places that can come from our families, from school, from just like things that we're a part of. I grew up with a lot of fear, and looking back, I realized that all that time I spent being worried that I wasn't doing the things the right way, I wasn't being a good person, I wasn't doing what everyone else was doing. I realized that all that time and energy I spent worrying about that was time that I could have been spending enjoying life and seeing how amazing this world is, kind of awakening to the beauty all around me all the time. So I've kind of put down being hard on myself, and I've just picked up trying to enjoy this one beautiful life we've got. And I hope that maybe, I don't know, maybe you think about that, I guess, while I'm singing this. But this is the title track. That's really the idea behind this whole EP, is that can we just like be here together and not worry about getting it perfect, you know? Cool. Glad you like that. Slow down, just breathe, cause your mind's got you twisted up in knots. Yeah, this moment's all we got, but it's never enough for me. Wake up, don't fall back asleep, cause no religion or vision can fix what I'm missing if I'm not listening. Life is but a dream, and we're all awakening. Like a flower in spring, we're all awakening. We're awakening. Break down the lies of fear, cause there's peace in the storm when the wildfires roar. You can always rest here. Speak out, we need to hear, cause your voice holds your power. In the 11th hour it all becomes clear that life is but a dream. We're all awakening, yeah. Like a flower in spring, we're all awakening. I used to pray for mercy, but now I pray for eyes to see. I used to pray for mercy, but now I pray for awakening. Yeah. It's but a dream. We're all awakening. Like a flower in spring, we're all awakening. Life is but a dream. We're all awakening, awakening. Like a flower in spring, we're all awakening. And now I pray for awakening. Thank you. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to play one love song. She's been she's been kind of heckling me all night. If you haven't noticed, she's like, shut up and play the song already. And I'm like, I have 10 more minutes of talking to go, you know what I mean? So I'm going to get her back by proudly making her cry. So don't look, I'm not going to point out who it is, but you know. And don't look at her because she'll get more red. But I was thinking about playing this song and I realized, like, we all, whether or not you're in a relationship or whatever, we all have people who walk with us through all of our seasons of life. Like, sometimes, like, we're personally in summer, we're in fall, we're in winter. Sometimes, like, all of our leaves fall off, you know. And it's interesting, we're kind of going from summer to fall right now. But a lot of us are doing that internally, too. And so this song is just about that person that's with you through all of that, who's with you through all of your bad moods and your this or that and all that. And so if you have that person with you, hug them a little extra tight tonight. If you don't, there's someone in your life for sure that's doing that for you. So that's there with you through it all. So, and if there's truly no one, I'll be that for you. So come find me after. I'll be like, I'll be your partner. Not like in a romantic way, because that's, I have that. When I think how far I've come, I still recall the foolish things I've done. I might be clever, but I'm still young. Oh, I've got a mouth just like a loaded gun. When I look at you and what we've made, there's a quiet grace to the way you chase each day. And when you want me back, when you need space, I'll write my love in ink you can't erase. So when the summer turns into the fall, I'll be right beside you through it all. My leaves may change and times might get hard, but that's not who we are. Busy streets, we have plain seats. I wish you were always next to me, but like a flame needs time to breathe. I've never been so glad to have a missing piece. And when the autumn gives way to the cold, oh, I will be the hand for you to hold. 'Cause the snow might fall and times might get hard, but that's not who we are. Oh, you will be the song I'll always sing. 'Cause the flowers bloom like time is on their side. How good it is to be alive. When the spring turns into summer sun, you for me are the only one. Turns into summer sun, you for me are the only one. As long as I can, lost seasons hand in hand, ready to do it all. Ready to do it all again. She held it together. That's a first. Oh my gosh. Next time she's like going through a hard time in life, I'm like, you held it together at the show, so you can do this. This next song is actually, I have this aunt, and for It's all the bottled emotion. I have this aunt, and I like never fully got my aunt because she was like this mystic, hippie, like shaman, lived on the land and like was one with nature kind of person. I never fully got her because from my kind of the world that I was living in, I was like, whoa, like tone it down, you know what I mean? And as I started going through my evolution, the one that I described today, I started to realize like, oh, whatever planet she's on, I want to be on that planet. Like, give me the rocket ship, And because she just has had this amazing connection with nature, this amazing way of going through life's struggles with such grace and embracing the transitions, embracing kind of the rites of passage. And so, not too long ago, like her and I had a chance to connect, and I was just like, look, I know that like I haven't fully understood you, but like I'd love if you just teach me some of these things, like help me understand like what's my path. Can you be like a teacher to me? And we were able to connect about 2 years ago in this really profound way. The reason that we didn't connect sooner is she lives like in deep Yukon territory in Canada and like works with indigenous people, and it's just this amazing thing, but I rarely get to see her. And so we had this chance to connect, and I was just like, what do I do, And she just really encouraged me so much with this idea that like all that you need is already inside of you. Like we're always looking outside of us to try to figure out so much, and like I was thinking like, how do I, there's all these like amazing cultures and indigenous cultures that have such amazing spiritualities, and I feel kind of like a fraud trying to even understand any of that. And she's like, yes, but at the same time, like your spiritual connection, your connection to the divine, it's indigenous within our humanity. And that was an idea that really transformed the way I thought about a lot of things. And so I was like, well, what next? What do I do? And she's like, well, maybe you're a musician, write about some of this stuff. And so I wrote this song not too long after, and it was kind of the first of any of the songs that you've heard tonight. This is the first one that came out of this kind of new awakening for me. And this song has really kind of been like a guide forward of like, okay, this is sort of like your mission. And I sent it to her, and she was like, yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. So this song has really been, just been like a North Star for me. It's called Birds. Dust in your eyes, the earth is ready for you to arrive. Rise up, child, feet still unsure, but nothing like you has come before. So be anxious for nothing, be anxious for nothing. Just look at the birds. Oh, be anxious for nothing, be anxious for nothing. Just look at the birds. Come now, be still and notice your breath. Be sure as the sun sets in the west. Come now, be still, watch your energy rise. for nothing, be anxious for nothing. Just look at the Thank you so much. This is my friend Carl Swart on the cajon. Yeah. What's your name there? Carl James Swart. Not to be confused with the other Carl Swart in the audience. This is Carl J. Swart. This is going to be my last song. Thank you so much for being here. It's meant so much to me for us to be able to fill this place out. I mean, I don't know, relatively speaking, but yes, for me in my heart, it's like this, it's a 1,000-person stadium full of people. That's how my dreams are. I'm like, 1,000 people. No, but thank you. This has meant the world to me. I hope it's helped you in some way, or maybe just made you feel less alone. I was telling someone before the show, if at the very least, people feel like the worlds are a little bit smaller and a little bit more connected, you feel a little less alone after tonight, then I'm happy. This last song is really it wraps up the EP, and it's really it brings everything full circle for me in that the further we go down our paths, the more we're just confronted with this reality of can we let go of what we think we know? Can we go back to the beginning? Can we unlearn? Jesus said all the time, become like children. And I don't think we get that all the time. I have a couple younger brothers, and I realize they're the future. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but they're the world to come. They are what's next. And they see the world already in a way that I couldn't even see it. And yes, we have to the next generation, we have to teach them how to be in our world too, you know what I mean? I tell my brother, did you wash your hands? You were in the bathroom for 2 hours, did you wash your hands? And I'm I don't believe you, you're lying to me, you know what I mean? So it's I have to do that kind of stuff with him, but he also sees the world in this way, where Carl, all the time, Carl is just absolutely, his spiritual practice right now is having a granddaughter. That's been his spiritual practice, and it's taught him so much. And I've learned so much just by how you guys talk about that experience. And it's she still shits her pants, but also she is this spiritual being, just free and clear and open. And so this song is just about unlearning, becoming like children. What would it look like for all of us to wake up tomorrow and just be a little more childlike, to let go a little bit of how we think the world should be and how we think we should be in it, and just be a little free. So, sorry for all my language. so much, everybody. This is amazing. So I really appreciate you coming. I said this at the beginning of the night. part of a church called Mission Gathering Issaquah. Lacey is a part of a number of churches, but Church of the Apostles is in Fremont. If you're just like interested in connecting or plugging in, feel free to talk to either of us. And thank you so much, Visible. Thank you guys. You guys are the best. I finally feel like a cool kid after all these years. Have a great night. Thanks for spending your Friday night with us.